guys, welcome back to the channel. I know I have not uploaded a single video in like ages, but I'm back now, so please forgive me. It feels like so long since I've been talking to a camera when I've literally been recording vlogs that I just haven't uploaded because I haven't had the time to edit and upload, so I am so sorry for that. But hey, at least I'm making this video right now. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Gemma Springer and I'm a third-year medical student, born, raised, and currently studying in the Caribbean. So if you're interested in following me along my journey throughout medicine, do hit the subscribe button and click that notification bell, because if you don't, you won't be notified whenever I post a video and you'll be missing out on a bunch of fun stuff. So that being said, let's get into the video. So as you guys know, I am currently on my general surgery rotation, and that's the very first rotation that I've ever been on. I'm currently in my 6th week of the rotation, but I feel like I haven't been giving you guys a really good view about what being in a rotation really is like, and so that's what I really wanted to share with you guys in this video. What rotations are really like during 3rd year. Now obviously I can't speak for like all the med schools of the world and all the different rotations. I can only speak for what I've experienced in my med school and in general surgery. If you want, I can do a video like this for every rotation that I go on, just so you know the difference between what it's like being in a general surgery rotation, family medicine, in internal medicine, and whatever other rotation I do in the future. So if you want me to do something like that, please let me know. But right now, obviously, since I've only been on general surgery, that's what I'll be speaking about today. Now before we really start this video, I want to let you guys know that I did a Q&A on my Instagram where I asked you guys to ask me whatever it is you want to know about what it's like to be in rotations, and you guys sent me 3 questions that I have here on my phone, and I'm going to answer them at the end, so make sure you stay to the end of this video if you want to know the answers to those questions. Our general surgery rotation is 12 weeks. They extended the number of weeks for the rotations in 3rd year because they wanted us to get a lot of experience, seeing that we were online during 1st and 2nd year. So our rotation is now 12 weeks, and it's broken down into 6 weeks of general surgery, 2 weeks of one subspecialty, 2 weeks of another subspecialty, and then 1 week of skills lab, followed by 1 week of exams. So currently I am in my 6th week of general surgery, and that is my final week of general surgery, and then I will be on my subspecialties. Next week I'm going to be on neurosurgery, and the following week I'll be on plastics. So what our school did is that they divided the class and put some students to start with general surgery and others started on subspecialties. I started with general surgery, so this is what I'll be talking about. So the way the hospital that I was placed at is set up, I don't know if that's how it is for all the hospitals, but the one I was set up was divided into different firms. So we had four different firms, and each firm was headed by 2 to 3 consultants. But for the groups that I've been in, we've only been taught by 2 consultants. So yeah, we were divided into 4 different firms, and that just helped to decrease the size of each group. So my group was filled with 6 people. I think other groups maybe had 4, some had 5, some had 6. It was generally 4 to 6 people in a group. And then from my firm, we also had 2 senior students who would rotate with us. Now, although we were placed into these firms, we would only stay 3 weeks on each firm. So for me, I started on firm 3. So I did 3 weeks on firm 3, and then I moved to firm 4. So I did 3 weeks of firm 4, and this is my final week of firm 4. I'm actually finishing tomorrow. So that's how it went. I actually don't know why they wanted us to switch firms, because it's like you're building somewhat of a relationship with the people on the firm, and you're getting to know them and you're getting accustomed to them. But now you have to get adjusted and accustomed to a whole set of new people on different firms after the 3 weeks. I don't know why they did that, but that's just how it was. So we stayed for 3 weeks on firm 3, I moved over to firm 4, and now I'm finishing firm 4. So now that I've given you guys a little background of how we're divided for our rotations, we can go into what it is like on a day-to-day basis being in general surgery. Now, how early I wake up depends on the rotation that you're on. Also, seeing that I'm on general surgery, it would also depend on the firm that I'm on. Now, when I was on firm 3, I had to wake up around 4:30 in the morning to make sure I catch the 6:30 bus, which would then get me to the hospital for 7 because ward rounds started at 7. Ideally, it would have been better to get there earlier than 7 o'clock, but because the first bus leaves at 6:30, that's the only bus I could catch. So that's what I did. And the reason I say it would be ideal to get there before 7 is because you really and truly want to get there before rounds start so you can soap your patients. And if you're meeting your patients for the first time, that's when you want to take a history from them. That way you can present a soap or present a history to your consultant during rounds. Sometimes consultants would let you present after rounds just so they can, you know, guide you through it, correct any issues they may have with it, just to, you know, help you with it basically. Sometimes instead of doing that, they might just pull you aside during rounds, away from the other residents and interns, and maybe just be with you and your group and have you present there and then. So yeah, that's the time I would wake up. And some of you might be cringing and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she wakes up that early to catch a bus for 6:30. But honestly, that's just my routine. I do have an actual like morning routine, things I do every single morning, like, you know, and I'm planning to record that morning routine for you guys. So let me know if that's something you're interested in, just so I would know that you actually want to see a video like that. But yeah, that's when I would wake up at 4:30 in the morning. I would catch the bus at 6:30, get there for 7. We have to go to the learning center, which is where we would get our teaching done. Most of our teaching, I would say. Some consultants like to teach on the wards as opposed to going to the learning center to teach us, but that is the designated place at the hospital for our learning to take place. So the hospital I'm at, I don't know what it's called at any other hospital, that's just the hospital that I'm at. So we would go to the learning center, sign our names for attendance, and then I would make my way down to the ward. And if I'm early enough and rounds haven't started as yet, I would try to take a history or a soap for my patient. And if rounds have already started, this is still on Form 3. If rounds have already started at 7, then I would just quickly put on my things, get straight to the residents and the interns and the consultant if he's there, and join them for ward rounds. On ward rounds, all they're doing is basically presenting the patients to the consultants. If the consultant isn't there yet, then this is when they would be basically soaping the patients themselves. Soaping, if you don't know, is when you check up on the patient. So S is for subjective, how the patient is feeling. O is for objective, what your findings are on clinical examination. A is for assessment, basically you presenting your findings from the examination, also the diagnosis of the patient. And then P is your plan. So what do you plan to do? What medications do you plan on giving them? Any dressings, any injections, stuff like that. So they would soap the patients, and when their consultant comes, they would present. Now, the reason, I don't know if you've heard this, but rounds honestly do take some time. And the reason why it takes some time is because ideally you would want the consultant to be there from the beginning. And this is only as a med student, okay? I think as a resident or well, not an intern, but as a resident, I think you would prefer if the consultant isn't there as yet. That way you can soap the patient and just present to the consultant. But as a medical student, you are going to wish that the consultant is there from the beginning. That way the resident just has to do everything once. Because when the resident starts rounding or starts soaping their patients, you have to be there, because that is the beginning of rounds. You have to be there for that. Then when the consultant comes, after all of that is done, or whenever the consultant comes during that time, we basically have to go back to the first patient. Yes, the first patient. And then the resident will present all of their findings and everything that they soaked for that patient to the consultant. If we reached the end of that round, we have to go to the very beginning. If we have 20 patients and we are at patient number 10, we have to stop and go to the, well, not stop, we probably finish that one and then go to the very beginning, start all over again, and make our way down. So ward rounds last forever. The longest I've ever been on a round, I would say, was probably till after 12 or after 1, but that was because grand rounds took place that day, and I'll get into what grand rounds is a little bit later. So after rounds happen, that's when you would get your teaching done. So I wake up, go to the hospital. If I can, I soap my patients or take a history, and then rounds start. After rounds, my group and I, we would meet with the consultant, and we would have like a little learning session based on whatever the consultant has planned for us or whatever we tell him that we want to learn that day. A lot of the time during rounds as well, the residents or the consultant themselves will ask you questions about what we're seeing in the patient, any pathologies that the patient has, or if the patient has any x-rays, they would give us the x-rays to look at, tell them what we see on the x-ray, and then they would like go through it with us. If the patient has a chest tube in, they would ask us about chest tubes. If there is a NG tube in, they would also ask us about that. So stuff like that, like any little thing they can ask you about, they will ask you about. So just answer. And honestly, you have to be answering confidently. They don't like like when you answer like you don't know, like they want you to, yeah, like even if you're wrong and you don't think you know the answer, whatever is coming to your head, just say it, just like make it be logical. Because you don't want to say something stupid because they're gonna look at you like, what? And then they're gonna move on to the next student. So yeah, that is that. And then when ward rounds are done, you get your teaching from the consultant, and then when he's done, or she, then you're pretty much free. And that's when you try to go back to the ward. Well, you can either get some lunch or you can go back to the ward and try to get things signed off of your procedure card. Okay, so I don't know exactly what I was talking about just now because my memory card got full, but what I wanted to say next was the time that the teaching usually finishes is around 1 o'clock. So yeah, that's pretty much what happens. And then so we try to get things done from this, as well as if we were not there early enough in the morning, that's when we would then take our histories from patients we may not have seen before. And then, well, earlier in this rotation the bus would come at 2 o'clock, and that's when I was on firm 3. But now the bus comes at 4 o'clock, so we're there until 4. And what I just try to do is get as many things done from this procedure card, as well as try to take histories from my patients. So I would catch the bus at 2. It would take about 30 to 45 minutes to get back to campus. I would get back to campus, and what I found myself doing is that instead of eating at the hospital, since we would have to leave so early at 2 o'clock, I would just try to get everything done during that time. Since we would finish being taught around 1, I would only have 1 hour before the bus came. So instead of using that time to eat, I would just go to the ward. And so when I came back, I wouldn't have eaten anything for the day besides breakfast. I would come back, then eat my lunch, take a little nap, and then start studying at night until I'm ready to sleep. So yeah, that's how my days went during the first 3 weeks of this rotation. Going on to firm 4 now, the school decided to send the bus for us at 4 o'clock instead of 2 as a way to give us more exposure on the wards. Now, like I said at the beginning of this video, that the time that I wake up would depend on which firm I'm on. So firm 3 would start rounds around 7 a.m. but now firm 4, they would start rounds around 8:30 a.m. And then on some days we have grand rounds, which is when all of the different surgeons would come together from the different firms. They would just come together on Zoom. Well, I'm not sure if they did it in person before COVID, but now they do it on Zoom, and they would just talk about different cases that they had, I'm guessing, during the week. And typically that would last from 8 to about 10 o'clock in the morning. And so on those days, which is usually a Tuesday for us, rounds will start a bit late. So on a typical day, not on a grand rounds day, being on firm 4, ward rounds will start around 8:30, maybe even minutes to 9 on a typical day. So usually it wouldn't start at 8 o'clock, it would start around 8:30, minutes to 9. So what I would do, instead of catching the 6:30 bus, I would wake up a little bit later. I would wake up around 6 o'clock, catch the 8 o'clock bus, and get there for around 8:30. And sometimes when I get there, they haven't even started rounds, so it is perfect for me. So if I have the time before rounds start, I would then soak my patients or take a history from them if I haven't seen them before, and then rounds would start, last typically until 11, and then after that the consultant would then come with us to teach us, and sometimes that would last until 12, a little after 12, or until 1 o'clock. After that, same thing, we would then go eat or go back to the ward and see our patients, or we would try to get things done from our procedure card, or if there's anything that we could do to help out, we would just try to do that. The bus would then come at 4. I would get here around 4:30. If I have anything to do, count that out, because everything is pretty much done by 4:30, as in any office on campus. If I need to pay any bills, stuff like that, it's all done by 4. So I pretty much have no life. I honestly wish they would send 2 buses, like one at 2 and one at 4, but no, that's not how they roll. So yeah, I would reach here about 4:30. Same thing, honestly. Usually I would be so exhausted, like I am now. I'm really exhausted. I would probably take a nap and then wake up, then I would have dinner and then get to work until I am super tired. Sometimes I might go to bed when I'm super tired and then not wake up until the next morning, or if I have a lot of work to do that night, I would work until I'm tired, go to sleep, wake up, go to sleep again for like 30 minutes to an hour, and then wake up again to get ready for school. And that's just how it really goes. Yeah, so that's pretty much how it is for how clinical rotations really is. And now I'm gonna answer those questions that you guys sent to me on Instagram. Okay, so here are the questions that you guys asked me on Instagram. Abby Crystalline asks, do you get time to exercise and eat properly? Well, Abby, overall, I would say yeah, no, because it's a combination of yes and no. Let's start with exercise. The straight answer for that is no. No, I do not. I have exercised about once since I've been on rotation, and it's been 6 weeks. I have made out a whole plan to exercise. Well, I have made out a whole daily plan, which included an exercise routine, but have I exercised? No. I am too tired to exercise. So yeah, that answer is no. But for the eating, I would say it's not too bad. I do have breakfast, I do have lunch, and I do have dinner. When the bus was coming at 2 o'clock, I would kind of not have dinner. I would usually come back and then eat my lunch slash dinner, which would be my dinner. I would just have one meal, and if I feel hungry later on in the evening, I would have something light. But now that the bus comes at 4, I'm not starving myself from the time I have lunch until 4:30 in the evening when I get back to my room, then to have lunch. No, 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 no. The next question comes from Anna.24s. Anna says, what do you carry with you on wards? How do you cope? How long does it take? Okay, we're gonna answer these questions in parts. What do you carry with you on wards? Well, Anna, I have a video. It was actually my latest video before this video, saying what I carry in my white coat, and that is pretty much what I carry on wards with me. If you want to know what I carry in my bag, which is separate from what I carry in my white coat, let me know down in the comments and I'll be sure to do that for you. The second part of the question asks, how do you cope? I'm not too sure what you mean by how do I cope. Like, how do I cope with what? How do I cope with the amount of work we have to cover? How do I cope with death? There's lots of things that you have to cope with on rotations. How do you have to cope with being asked questions like all day? Like, it's just questions, questions, questions. So yeah, it's a lot of things you have to cope with, but honestly, you just have to remember that you are here to learn. You're a medical student, you're not a doctor as yet, and you're just there to learn. So just take all criticism as something to learn from. Just know that whatever you do, you can probably do it better. Whatever criticism you get, just apply it to yourself so that you can become a better medical student and in the future become a great doctor. The other part of your question, Anna, was how long does it take? How long does what take? I am not sure by what you mean, so it would be so nice of you if you would leave the question down in the comments, just expand on it a bit more so I can know exactly how to answer the question for you. The final answer that I got was from Crystal_MF. He says, is it truly the light at the end of the tunnel they tell you about in preclinical? Being in the first 2 years of medical school, you are sitting, well, now you are sitting behind your laptop and just being either probably kicking away at Anki all day, every day. Maybe you're actually attending classes and you're just there listening to lectures like this. Or you're doing the bare minimum and sleeping every single day. Either way, no matter which student you are still gonna look forward, at least most medical students look forward to clinical rotations, because now you actually get to interact with patients, which is what you really want to do as a medical student, because you're gonna be a doctor. You want to interact with patients, you want to help treat them, you want to do stuff in the hospital. So in terms of that, yes, it is actually a light at the end of the tunnel, but it's also very, very draining, to the point where I've been wishing sometimes, I wish I could just do over the first 2 years of med school. I wish I could get my sleep. I trained myself to work all throughout the day and sleep at night, but now I have to literally be awake all day talking to people, patients and residents and interns and other medical students. I'm learning all throughout the day, but then I also have to come back and I have to study all night. On top of all of that, I still have to be a human being, look after my health, you know, live. I still have to be a human being on top of all of this. So yes, as a medical student in the first 2 years looking onto it, it is technically the light at the end of the tunnel, but it's also very, very draining. I hope that answers your question. I don't even know if I truly answered the question. I'm just so tired right now, and I want to sleep. I need to take a shower, and I also need to eat. So let's see where this night takes me. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something from this video about what it is like to be a med student on rotations in 3rd year. So I'm gonna end this video now. I'll talk to you guys later. It was nice talking to you guys again after the years that I have not uploaded a video. Hopefully I upload another one soon after this video and I don't go MIA again. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!